Greetings dear viewers and welcome back to the review program. In this episode, we will touch upon the IT sector of Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan implemented several reforms to its IT sector and programs to enhance the digitalization of economic sector. For instance, the share of the digital economy in the country's GDP by the end of 2022 accounted for 2.77%. The volume of services provided in ICT increased by 3.6 times and made up 22.9 trillion soms. Over the past 2 years, the rating of experts of ICT services and Global Innovation Index increased by 42 positions. The length of fiber optic communication lines has increased from 20,000 kilometers to 170,000 kilometers, an increase of 8.5 times. The total bandwidth of the internet connection has been increased 58 times and its speed has been increased from 55 gigabytes per second to 3,200 gigabytes per second. 168 electronic public services are provided to citizens and legal entities in the mobile application of single portal. Through the Interdepartmental Integration Platform of the Electronic Government System, the Interdepartmental Integration Platform of the Electronic Government between the state bodies and organizations was improved, and more than 1,500 million units of information were exchanged between more than 120 information systems of state bodies during 2022, which saves 8.3 billion soms per month and 100 billion soms per year only on paper expenses. In the period of July 7 to 9, Tashkent hosted the Digital Leadership Forum. Over 300 BPO and IT outsourcing companies, foreign organizations, entrepreneurs, and over 20 speakers from around the globe took part in the event. The forum served as a platform for candidates to promote their company as a leading provider of IT outsourcing and BPO services. In addition to that, foreign representatives had the opportunity to explore the IT market of Uzbekistan and the country's achievements in the area up until today. Uzbekistan is on its way to become the IT hub of Central Asia, so this topic remains very actual among business circles in the country. We have invited a special guest to our studio today, Mr. Muzaffar Jalolov, to discuss the IT sector of Uzbekistan. Greetings, Mr. Muzaffar. It's a great pleasure to have you in our studio today.
Good evening. Thank you for invitation.
My first question to you would be, what do you consider as the most significant achievements of IT sector in Uzbekistan?
First of all, is if we consider attention from the presidential side, the first is the political will, because before we didn't feel that much attention from our presidential side, from the government side, and it wasn't really efficiently to work officially. Everybody tried to work, for example, out for IT outsourcing or remotely software development or whatever. They do it in official way. But now everything is going through one big platform, which is called, let's say it's not really platform, but ecosystem, which is called IT Park. I think that the first is the creation of IT Park is the main one, which is the second is it's not only the registering the companies, but also they are giving the big preferences and tax preferences for IT companies, and now is working in Uzbekistan, in the territory of Uzbekistan as an IT specialist, and opening their IT company is very prestigious, and I think it's also becoming very investment attractive for foreign investment, I mean, and we see that big attention from also not only from our citizens' view, but also from the side of our partners from another countries, and we see that also, for example, if you compare the number of the IT companies, and in 2017 it was only around 300 or something, and now their number of IT companies almost 1,400 companies, and then we can see the number is almost more than 4 times increased, almost 5 times, and the government's plan is increase their number until 10,000 companies until 2030. So I think Uzbekistan now has a very big potential, considering also human capital, and also the government policy, and I mean in the opening and establishing the universities and as well as the IT education. And from another side is big support from the President and the Ministry of Digital Technology. And I think that we see big flow of foreign experts and foreign companies also coming to Uzbekistan. Big companies, not just regular companies, but also such as the Exadel or Plug and Play or other companies. They also try to nowadays, under, for example, recently the management of Alibaba also visited to see and researching the market and to see the local conditions which created for companies. And I'm sure that the goal, as you mentioned, to become Uzbekistan as a IT hub in Central Asia by 2030 will be reached.
Considering the big flow of new investments and companies, don't you think this is going to negatively affect the cybersecurity of Uzbekistan?
Of course, there are risks, not only in Uzbekistan, but also we see the big, nowadays, some kind of threats through hackers or some group of people, or for example, anonymous or others who, and we see also the first one is problem, of course, will occur, is occurring still. I mean, it's not in the future, but currently we see some hackers attack to government websites. Recent years, we see some kind of the phishing, such as when somebody is calling your phone and introducing some company representative or bank representatives, and stealing your money from your bank account. So we see this kind of course, first is we have to educate our people. It's more related with, for example, citizens, because they may not know, for example, how this system might work. And second is, of course, we need more and more some cybersecurity centers. 3 years ago was established the National Cybersecurity Center, and they are now working with the universities as well, and trying to support with some education programs to prepare their own personnel, and such as especially cybersecurity specialists, which is nowadays in a very demanding area. If we compare for example, with the salaries, for example, the software developers and, for example, front-end or back-end developers and cybersecurity specialists, of course, the cybersecurity specialist, the salary is much higher than just regular developers or system administrators. So, which is showing that not only in Uzbekistan but also worldwide, the demand to cybersecurity specialists is very high. Of course, there are always will be risks, some attacks. That's why we need to first of all educate our people, and more update our university and school programs with this kind of topics, such as what kind of cases, what kind of, for example, instruments or some tools that can be managed, or in order to, for example, overcome this kind of problems, what we have to do before it happens and what we have to do after it happens, for example. This is also, again, not only from the government side or not only from the for example, policymakers side, but also I think it's very important to do measures also from the education side. I mean, as I said, educating the people, citizens, more closely work with universities as well. So I think this is the kind of might be one of the way to, in order to protect and our data.
Talking about education, what is Inha's contribution to IT sector of the country?
among other international and other local universities, we're number one in the quality of education. I mean, the first is for us is very important to prepare and educate the youth with quality education, because you may have 10,000 students or more, but if you don't provide the qualified or quality, if you don't pay attention to the quality of education, then I think it's useless. So I think we have to, first what we are doing is pay attention to prepare the qualified IT engineers, so to the market, not only to Uzbekistan, but government sector, but also the international companies who are already opening their branches here, or banking sector or finance. So we see our students are working in the different areas. So second is we have our, not this Inha University Tashkent is also kind of, we can consider as a not only university, but also some kind of a place where you get the education, you get the work. We have innovation centers, we have a cybersecurity center as well. We work with not only local companies, but also international companies. Our students, they're having the opportunity to go through these internship programs, some extra education programs, because when you become the Inha University student, you don't only get the bachelor or master's program, you get the extra programs as well, provided by our partners. They have the very often guest lectures, and of course we have a startup incubation center as well, where students, they can go through this acceleration process for their startups together with our main partner IT Park. And recently our president adopted new decree, presidential decree, about further development of Inha University in Tashkent. So according which we now can work with not only with Inha University, but also with other universities, and we can open together with top universities in the world, some other faculties as well. And second is our university can run their own programs as well. I mean, because by now we only teach in English language. For example, our program is fully accredited by the Ministry of Education of Korea, Republic of Korea. So and we provide until now the Korean diplomas. But now we can also parallelly also issue our own diplomas as well, as becoming some kind of local programs for our students as well.
There are some students who get the same education through online because they have access to various IT platforms where they can gain knowledge, and they are still the same professionals as those that graduate from the universities. The question here arises, do we have to have the higher education in order to become an IT specialist? Because nowadays there are a lot of IT specialists who don't have a higher education. Instead of spending time for bachelors, do we need that these days?
Yeah, it's a very tricky question because I'm almost working 5 years. I'm running university, working as a rector. So during this 5 years, almost very often I receive this kind of question: do we need universities, especially IT universities, when we can, as you said, especially during the pandemic, we saw this, that the people can get education through online. They already got used to it. We have online programs, for example, 1 million Uzbek coders program, which was around also 2019. And for example, Coursera or other courses we can see.
We also have YouTube, simple tutorials on YouTube.
Yes, or simple tutorial. But the first is, of course, you don't get some kind of, you always have a question. You don't always get the answers to your questions from YouTube. This is the first one. You need some mentor, you need some teacher or professor who can answer to your questions and who can direct you. This is the first. And second is what university can give you is networking. That's what my students always say, because of course there are online universities or 3 years program universities as well, but probably 4 years is too long. 3 years is sometimes enough. I think especially in IT, if we talk about only in IT, I'm not talking about some medical faculties or some other areas. Specialists who get the higher education and those who don't have a higher education but have a self-study, there is also a difference. I felt that, especially maybe some of them who I spoken with, that mindset of those who graduated and those who hasn't graduated university is different. I mean, the university students, they study not only one subject, several subjects, and they have the bigger and much wider mindset, and compared to those who hasn't get for some reason higher education. So this is, I think, very big topic to discuss about those who get the higher education and those who doesn't get the higher education.
You say they study several subjects and here professionals focus on one. Isn't it better to take one sector and develop it professionally rather than studying a lot of subjects at the same time and getting confused at the end?
I think that, of course, you are right, and from another side, I can challenge it because you need not only hard skills, but also you have to achieve your some kind or develop your soft skills as well, because sometimes soft skills can be achieved through another, for example, subjects or another activities. You never know. For example, you can, if you want to become the, for example, software developer, you only study C++ or Java or other languages, but you have to also, if you study, for example, some languages or some communication skills or other subjects, of course, it will help you to go and through career development as well. For example, you will not be only in one level professional. In order to be, for example, to become at least a team leader or head of some department, you need still some more skills, more wider, some kind of mindset. And I think it's very difficult for those who don't study other subjects as well. So I recommend not only study in university, but also always work on yourself, and of course try to get more and more some other areas as well, because it will always help you. Even though, for example, sorry for long talking, but when you go when you have a family and you have kids, and you have to know anyway some subject they are studying in order to do homework with them.
How do you vision the IT sector of Uzbekistan in the next 5 years?
Early to say about the share of IT in local GDP, but if you compare the IT export 5 years ago, it was around 40,000 or something US dollar, but now is over 130 million US dollar, and until the end of this year, its forecasting will be around 300 million US dollars, and of course by 2030 there is a big roadmap according to which says that Uzbekistan IT export must be 5 billion US dollars. So what we need to do for this, of course, we cannot only open IT companies. So we need to how we are achieving. First is through business process outsourcing. It's we call BPO, through developing BPO service. When our local specialists, they are staying in Uzbekistan, working for other international company located in US or Europe or somewhere, and of course their money flow is going to Uzbekistan, and they get salary, they get paid for their, for example, services, they get paid for their software selling or call centers as well. The second is of course the call center outsourcing. For example, when you call to some call center, it doesn't matter in which country they are responding to you. It's what matters is speed and quality, and you have to solve your problem. And that's why nowadays India is the number one in the outsourcing of call center services. So even you in US, you call to some call center, the operator will connect to India and get back. So the speed is very important. So I think in this kind of service, because we have a biggest human capital, I think one of the biggest in the region, if we talk about in the regional basis. Uzbekistan has a big potential in reaching this 5 billion IT outsourcing, the IT export service by 2030, because we see that number of IT specialists also nowadays also very rapidly increasing. Now is almost 30,000 experts IT, but also their number is going to be over 100,000 IT specialists. I think, and everybody is getting job because what our students always worry is that whether they will get a job or not. Of course, if you are a good specialist, of course it doesn't matter you have a higher education or not. Of course, if you have nowadays is very important skills. If you have this monitoring and demanding skills, you definitely will get the job, and not only in Uzbekistan, but also you can get the job staying in Uzbekistan and working for the foreign countries as well. I know lots of people who are doing such things. So they are staying in Uzbekistan, they're working for Canada, US and some countries, and they are earning 10, 20K per month just staying at home.
Thank you, Mr. Muzaffar, for this interview. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you, dear viewers, for watching this episode. See you in the next episodes.